Hello people of the interwebs, and I welcome you to another mystical video. If you're seeing the title of this video, then congratulations to me, because I luckily got this done before the end of February. Speaking of the second month of the year, not only is this the month of romance, kisses, and chocolate, but also chocolate of a certain historical variety. That's right folks, it's Black History Month, and I've been wanting to do a video on it for years. Some say it couldn't be done since anime isn't the most varied on the subject, but by Rosa Parks' rightful seat am I gonna give my damnedest to celebrate my heritage using the power of Ramen Land. Funnily enough, however, my passion got me jumbled with a couple of preliminary ideas. At first I wanted to do something easy and just talk about 6 block characters I liked in anime, but as I was writing a script for that, I noticed my passion became tunnel focused on a single specific character from a very extraordinary series. And once I started writing my entire script, it turned into what you see before you today. Because by the time we are done here, I would hope more people will see the significance of what happens when one history is viewed from the perspective of another, and why that in itself is a beautifully bizarre adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, misfits of the anime community, I now present to you a brief look into Battle Tendency's Smokey Brown, a walking, talking anime personification of what makes Black History Month so wonderful. Before we talk deeply about this character, however, I first want to give major props to Jojo Bizarre Adventure's character design. Hirohiko Araki's testosterone epic has so much love and research poured into its characters that regardless of importance, each feels fresh. In this series, you don't just find a dark-skinned person, but Egyptians, Hispanics, Middle Eastern representations, and more. I appreciate that JoJo's fresh art style doesn't box themselves into the trappings of other anime, where either the potential of dark-skinned characters becomes just another excuse to turn a Japanese high school girl in a brown MS Paint color gradient, or blowing up ethnic Shannen, the word is ethnic indicators to comedic extremes with wacky round features, bright lip coloring, and a very dated 70s portrayal. Look, I know Afro Samurai was a very cool piece of anime, but not all black people, if we're talking about Americans, are stuck in the 70s or are Blade. You can quote me on that. All black characters are not Blade. Plus, don't get me started on the cliche that cornrows or constantly cussing equals American black person. We can talk classy and have straight hair, thank you very much. I'm kinda getting off topic, but what I'm trying to say is that JoJo's goes beyond the cliches and gives actual 2 cents about the visuals and presentation of their ecosystem, which is why the characters feel so free and unique, despite the portrayals just being more historically accurate. However, the special thing about the cast is how each character's personal impact adds more to it than just world building. But like each character has their own natural story to tell, you never feel like the lives that house each arc simply end when the credits roll, but instead their own adventures feel added to the mix, leaving a lasting impression that those characters lived as naturally as we the audience do. So when I say Smokey is a perfect example of this, I meant how looking at a piece of his own adventure reflects heavily on the principle of JoJo's epic tale, as well as a fictional mirror into an unintentional Black history lesson. Okay, so I think that's all the preliminaries out the way, so let's just now go talk about him then. Right after this commercial break. Nailed it. And now it's time for our fun-filled segment, the Community Corner. The time where I give a shout out to other creative outlets in the anime community in hopes that more people will have a look-see. Today I'll be talking about an actual website, which I don't consider often, but since this one was suggested by one of you guys, and looking at it myself, I can't lie, it did win me over. So to clarify, hashtag not a sponsored ad, hashtag might as well be an ad, but I like you what I saw, okay, so sue me. Moving on! Pagey World is the Tumblr of artistry, a DeviantArt and Instagram love child, a global community where you can spill all your creative juices in a new horizon. This site is great for seeing different art styles from around the world, from anime art styles to more realistic ones, and cosplay to beyond. They even have fun-themed events you can participate in for your own pleasure, which is really neat. So if you're an artist looking for a new platform to mark your artistic territory, or simply an avid lover of the arts from afar, then stop on by pageyworld.com from your PC, iOS, or Android device and get your art groove on! Now if you know of any creative outlet that needs attention in this world of anime, either comment down below or at Shannen on Twitter with the hashtag CommunityCorner and tell me all about it. With outreach more important than ever, even though I may be one girl on the internet, I will always try my best. Smokey Brown began his journey from our viewer perspective as a pickpocket is trying to get by, but along came some cops ready to bust up his chops, upon which luckily Jojo came along to save the day, founding a new friendship. Yay! And on the surface, that's about it. From there, he honestly didn't get to do much besides becoming the speedwagging exposition replacement. But the reason I'm highlighting him at all is because of what Battle Tendency shows and not tells. For those needing a quick recall, back during the restaurant scene, Smokey was accompanying Joseph and Granny Erina when all of a sudden this big mafia dude calls out to Smokey to verbally discriminate him. Oh, you know how it is. It was because he was black. Look, that was unfortunately how things were in 1938. This entire scene, however, is where my appreciation began. The creator of this series easily captured the strife and humiliating issues black people had to face at the time so naturally in the story, without diverging story momentum by pointing it out with straight exposition, or putting that job for inorganic dialogue spoken by two random background dudes. It's a mechanic I really don't like in anime. It's boring and feels condescending for the viewer's sake. Instead, he actually framed the scene cleverly and historically appropriate with visual cues to enhance Smokey's plight, all for the sake of our heroic Joseph Joestar to soon after revenge his pride. Notice when the background diners go to ignore the situation in front of them before Joseph steps in. Yeah, one reason, and probably the actual reason because anime, that no one butts in to say anything at first is because they just don't want to get killed by a mafia guy screaming his lungs out. Or how I perceived it, that because Smokey was just, in case you forgot, black, that in the eyes of a 1930s white rich person, it's not worth the fancy fabrics to stick their necks out for the help. Which, newsflash, Smokey was the help in the form of becoming Erina's caretaker when the Joestars took him in. I know people will disagree with me on this because they are friends and anime wouldn't dig that deep, and he was so happy to do it, and the Joestars are nice people. They weren't just trying to give him an honest living job, which the last part is very true. That's just the Joestar way, but that's the point, in my personal opinion. His new attire, formalities, willingness to accompany them, and mannerisms by this point in the story can be seen as a reference to American race relations from the past 1920s and 30s and 40s, leading all the way up to World War I. During this era, US President Franklin Delano Roosevelt issued the New Deal, which took action to bring about immediate economic relief and reforms in various sectors to get the country back on its feet from the big monster we all know us today as the Great Depression! Shun. With no surprise, African Americans at the time were not only one of the first groups to get laid off from jobs, but heck, even soup kitchens wouldn't allow them in. To the anime's contrast, it makes sense why Smokey was a pickpocket to begin with. As for being a housekeeper later on, I cannot off the top of my head give an exact date on when the trend became common, mainly because I'm lazy. But evidence in TV culture from around the same era and beyond traces back to a commonality where a rich white family always had a black, neighborly helping hand in the form of a maid, butler, or other caretakers ready to serve and observe their every need. I know this stuff is very glossed over and TV culture has nothing to do with actual historical significance, but I just want to give you guys a feel of where I'm coming from. And the little details are far more intricate than that, but for the sake of time, let me round off by saying that this whole thing is pretty much on point, and that that's alright. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh gosh, I'm so offended that he didn't get a better role in the show, or all that rigmarole. But rather, I find it interesting to see so many nods to history when really all this could have been one massive coincidence. I don't know, I didn't really Google that far into my research about this actually. I'm just going by what I see and how I feel about it. I'm not the most analytical person in this henhouse. What you misfitly see is what you misfitly get. So taketh as you willeth. What I also want to point on that could be a really massive coincidence has to do with the epilogue of Smokey's character arc. A quiet character arc, but one noteworthy nonetheless. After the events of, oh my god, Mr. Universe here is going to wreck us all with the beams of machismo! Smokey took the life lessons he learned from his pal Joseph and the adventure he was dragged upon, and invested himself from then on into the grueling world of political science, where it was revealed in 1987, the beginning point to Stardust Crusaders, mind you, that he had rose up the ranks to become the first black mayor in the state of Georgia. Oh yeah, bringing the bacon home to my neck of the woods. In contrast to our world, did you know that in 1973, Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. also became the first black mayor of Atlanta, Georgia? And would you look at that, born in 1938. We've now come full circle, folks. But conclusively, what did we learn today? Besides the fact that a long string of coincidences can lead to a motherfucking Jojo's reference, Smokey Brown as a character represents a person who takes inspiration from both friends and real life to spin a wonderful piece of character building that circumferences more than meets the eye. Maybe my point in this video was to say that people of the anime community, it's not a bad thing to dabble into histories you're not familiar with, or have any connection towards at all, but with enough respect, asking all those questions and research, can you make a story that even in the tiniest of places carry treasures of beauty? The TLDL version is, if you're a good egg, don't be afraid to go there. That is the Misfit way. I want to first thank you all for watching my video and taking all my words of passion I say today. It's been a labor of love that I'm really happy with. As for the rest of you holding pitchforks at my maybe not maybe appropriation of how I view black people, in which you probably already wrote in comments before finishing this video, then I say to you, good day, sir. But anyway, if you like this video, tell me about it in the comments below. Share it with your friends, your family, and everywhere in between. If you are new, why not consider subscribing to the Anime Misfit today, where waifus and black history go hand in hand. I mean, I am black, and I do like waifus, so this kind of works. Let's give a good pat in the back also to you two lone Patreon supporters who have backed me financially, because without your over-the-call help, paying Patrick here might actually cost me to cross Delaware in only my pantaloons, and no one wants to see that. So thanks. Hopefully more friends will join you guys soon. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord if you want to talk. Or shout at me directly all your qualms and vegetation. Yeah, that's right. Tell me your favorite veggies. All the healthiness and stuff. Speaking of stuff, that's exactly what I have to do next. It's a very complicated process that gives out more risk than reward. But I'm willing to trudge through it for the sake of freedom. So, time to hit it up. Shannen, ow!